It's very true. But she can't get mad because I don't want to work with you anymore.
It's not gonna work.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm on the show, and you as my friend,
there's a catch.
all these people line up on your show when I asked you
without her going
not
for
to
it, they've
do that.
already blacked
So
her.
thinking of Oprah and Monique in just that situation,
That's your, you
Oprah being
Where my people from?
Okay. Is this yours?
Yeah.
I was talking about Blake now.
Excuse me.
Oh, okay. Wakanda forever.
You putting a Black Panther tattoo?
I know I said we talked about Black Panther.
I'm kind of over Wakanda now. I'm gonna go back to Gotham City. The kids will piss me off.
Bitch,
Yes.
we will never leave.
I'm leaving Wakanda. I gotta go back to Gotham. I gotta go.
First of all, let's just get excited at the fact that, I don't know if y'all remember, but in 1915, that's when
Is
Birth
it
of a Nation
good? Do you guys
came out.
like it?
Okay?
Yeah.
And so from
Okay,
1915
I haven't tried that
to
one, but this one-
2018, we have been
this one
living
didn't have the
in the
flex.
realities
A lot of
of
people
what
like,
Birth of a
oh,
Nation
no,
has
no,
done to our community. Birth of a Nation
that's good. You guys
basically
can have that.
created this entire environment of
That's
why
what- yeah.
white people are scared of black men and blackness
Like when
and
you
why
shake
we
some
have to
white
be
girl off the cliff.
oppressive. Right. So let's get excited. All I need is for Wakanda to live on for another 100 years and I'm gonna be good with life.
Wakanda, Zamunda.
No, Zamunda's a totally different place.
I know.
Hey, Wes.
Wakanda's real.
We talked about that.
Did you see that one lady who
We
sat there
talked
and
about
said
that.
what?
Gentrification.
How's it-
I asked them what did they want us to talk about. But yeah, we touched up on that the last recording.
My nails done.
Devin, you ready?
That's real.
Yeah, I was just kidding.
All right.
But you think that-
Rain?
In 5, 4, 3, 2. What's going on, world? Thank you guys for tuning in to A Connection TV, the one channel on YouTube where we actually adopt similar connections despite our differences, and welcome to Culture Clubb. Like we do on every other show, we are going to reintroduce ourselves from our left to our right. I'm switching it up. I want you to state your name and what would be your theme song if you were about to put it down in the bedroom.
Oh, okay. My name is Trey, and my theme song. Let's go with. I'm gonna put it down. You gonna follow it up? Brandy.
Okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Olivia. My theme song? I mean, anything by Sade probably would be like Dopington. I don't know, that's just random. I don't know.
She's like, it's just random.
Hey, I'm Larry. My theme song, I forgot the name of the artist that sings this song. So inappropriate. But I don't know the title. She told the whole world. You got a big dick, you know how to use it.
Oh. I don't know who sings that. I don't know.
I'm thinking throwing it down. I guess maybe from my perspective, I'm thinking, I throw it down and I'm just giving you all of the all the saucy, Oshuni living kind of like, you know, sensualness. Y'all think
Not that fast though. Gotta start off slow and ease into it.
so you can't, how you gonna go with the
Because I know how to use it. That's a part of it. It's like you know how to get it.
All right.
Anyway,
So,
go ahead.
my name is Wesley, and I don't know of a name of a theme song. This question is from Chocolate Teddy 78 on Instagram. He is the one that asked us this particular question. But what I will say, or what I would like to hear, if anything, is some moaning and you calling out its name. That's it.
That's the name of the song? Or that's...
So we gotta say Curtis.
Yes, they have to say Curtis quite a few times.
It's
Oh.
really sad that I knew that your member was Curtis.
Hey.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes you mention it.
My name is Mikey. And my theme song would be Seduction by Usher. I actually play that whenever I'm like, when I'm at my house and I'm doing it with somebody. So.
All right.
I like that song.
Yes.
Hey you guys, it's Devin Norwood. Shout out to Brand. And I have two. One, The Art of Love by Toni Braxton. And then my second one, Anytime, Anyplace by the one and only Janet Jackson.
I'm surprised I didn't hear Brandy.
He said
Oh.
Brandon.
He said Brandon.
I said Brandon.
No,
He-
no,
from him.
no, no.
Oh, from him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we're talking about intimate moment. That Brand B has a lot of different tracks, but I think as far as sexuality and how that's expressed from my personal experiences in the bedroom, that would come from more of a Janet Jackson.
Janet.
Or even The Art of Love by Toni Braxton off the Heat album.
All right. So, I just have to say, whatever's in this blue cup, I'm here for it because it
Yes.
already has me feeling like, ooh.
Okay.
And that's just a good thing.
I'm drinking
So I
water.
want to shout out everybody that was able to partake in the impromptu but canceled but not canceled game night the other night.
Yes, we
It was a very
So much fun.
yeah, it was a very cool, interesting situation. So for those of you that are in Atlanta, every first Saturday of the month, I'm going to be conducting game night. It will be a bigger situation next Saturday, which will be next month. So if you are in Atlanta, you live in Atlanta, definitely come on down and have a good time. We got to get to know each other a bit intimately last night, so it was
Yes.
very interesting. And Olivia found out a way to get the dirty deeds
From
on
everybody.
Do not be
certain
like
individuals.
Olivia.
From everybody.
No, that
So
was bad.
it was quite interesting.
It was
You
the
know,
best
we
way.
found out who fucked each other.
Yup,
We
all
found out
day.
who sucked each other.
Yup.
We played Monopoly Deal, which was a great game. I love Monopoly Deal now. It is the new Spades. If you've never played Monopoly Deal, you need to get it. It is a fun game.
It's hell.
It's fun.
It is not. It's gonna get
fun.
people shot. That's what it's gonna do. That game will get you messed
It
up.
requires you to use your brain, so if you have one, use it.
Did not take it to a black cookout. It's a fight.
All right. So, no, but yesterday you had made reference to what you would like to talk about on Culture Club. So if you can elaborate on that.
I think we talked. Oh, yes. So one thing I want to talk about is, everybody has a brand. And I get so tired of hearing the word brand because I feel like people throw around the word and terminology brand like they throw around their dicks. So I was saying, like, I need people to clarify what their brand is and not just calling every single action they do a brand. I woke up this morning, that's part of my brand. I'll post a picture about these shoes, that's part of my brand. And then people that do stuff, they'll say they have a brand, and then they're doing these projects that are completely contrary to everything that they put out. And I have a friend who's recently dealing with that as of right now.
So can you give an example?
Give that example. Okay, so I have a friend. So I have a friend, when he first came out and he started like working and acting and stuff like that, he was doing like these pretty clean cut straight jobs. And then next thing you know, he's doing pornography. And for a lot of people, that was just kind of like, well, you have a real career, you have a real chance at like being something, and all of a sudden you're doing porn. Like, I feel like that was so against his brand, but he feels like that's part of who he is as a person. Like expressing sexuality and showing it and sharing it with people. So now he's trying to incorporate a legit acting career and porn at the same time. I mean, it's not gonna happen, but I mean, he's my friend. I'm gonna support him through his demise.
So
Okay, hold on. I kind of want to. I will start on this end. We'll start on this end because Well, I know you have something to say. I feel it. I feel it in your bones.
Clearly, you do.
So we'll start on this then. Can you try to dissect what he just said and give your opinion on his topic?
My opinion on what he said about branding yourself.
Don't be my friend and me today, Trey.
I won't. I was trying my best not to.
Baby.
I think when branding yourself, you have to be very calculated and you have to think beyond the moment. So I think it's very important, like when you make decisions, to realize that what's the long-term effect of this decision and not just to think in the moment. I think that's very important when branding, because once you it's so easy to tarnish a brand. It's hard to build it up, but once you tarnish that, it's even more harder to build it up. So I think it's very important to think long-term when making decisions.
So I guess my question to you, kind of like to dig a little deeper into what he was talking about, is what would you define as a brand? Because I think what he was saying.
See what you ain't letting me say, because I was about to say that.
Like everybody just said.
But I just want to hear what he's going to say before it goes down.
It's kind of your image, in a sense. It's really the image that you give off all the time. And it's the one that your public brand, because you can be something else behind closed doors. I think everyone has that about themselves that they don't want everyone to see, but their brand is what you publicly portray, and that's what people become to know you of. And
okay. All right.
So I wanted to know, I agree with this, and I'm in alignment with that. And my question before you was like, let's get, I wasn't responding, I was going to ask a question. I wanted to understand, what did you think of, because you brought the situation to the table and you said everyone's, throwing around branding. I needed to understand from you before I even gave a response on what you considered branding. Because though I do consider what you're saying branding, I want to make sure we're all in alignment before I respond.
That's true.
Okay, so what he said is possibly true. It's more of a public persona. The way you go about doing stuff, the projects attached to you, the circle that you have, your work, your net worth, and the type of business that you're trying to pursue.
Okay.
That's what I feel. And it's all packaged together. And the way you go about growing that thing, the special fertilizers and soil and water and instruments you use to put yourself to the next level, get you where you're trying to go. Because you'll see people who are like, they trying to build a brand, like an acting brand. They want to be a star, but then they do something that's like so contrary to that. So what really is your brand? What are you really trying to accomplish or do? It becomes confusing.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. And then they'll say, no, it's a brand. When I see somebody posting clouds on their page and they got maybe like 2 flowers, and I was like, well, listen, this is my brand or whatever. What is your brand? I can't look at this and tell what it is. Oh, well, and I had somebody say this to me, well, that's what everybody says. When you're just doing something, you're putting yourself out there, that's your brand. And I said, no, that's not just your brand. It's far more complicated to that. And so I was just saying, I get tired of people just saying, oh, well, this is my brand, or my brand is this, or that. No, you don't really have a brand. You're not doing anything.
So to respond to that, I will have to say I live in 2 different spaces at the same time. It's a dialectic. One of the spaces I live with is I give 0 fucks about what everybody or anybody's brand is. I don't give a fuck. I either like you or I don't. I either support you or I don't. I either want to buy into your business or I don't. So that's just the reality of what it is. And on the second side of that, I don't really subscribe too much to people's branding if I think of what what I understand and I agree with as far as that being the definition, because I want people to be authentic with me. I rather people live in multiple spaces at the same time. That I can do this, but I'm also nimble enough to do that. And I can exist in all different spaces and they're not necessarily conflicting. So I could be cool with that. Yeah, I'd rather you just give me straight up. Just tell me straight up and down, what the fuck is you? What you doing?
What the fuck is you?
Then I can know it.
Then I can know you got to fuck with you. I don't.
I love it.
Okay. I think branding is important personally. I think it's like how you carry yourself and how people perceive you. Like when people hear your name, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Right.
That's your brand. So to go into what you're saying, unfortunately, people tend to remember negative things more than they remember positive things. It's just a human nature. So, and unfortunately, people consider pornography a negative thing.
Right.
I mean, so when people know that you do porn, unfortunately, the first thing that comes to their mind, even if you've done a million acting jobs, is that porn. That's what comes to the surface. So I think a lot of people don't understand the lasting impact that their actions has on the way people perceive them. And yes, you cannot care how people, in your personal life, you cannot care what people think. However, when you become a product, in acting, you're a product. If you're a singer, you're a product. If you're a personality, you become a product. You're not a person anymore.
That's
so
true.
people are buying into that product, and that's why you're called a brand, because they want to buy what you're selling. So if you want people to buy what you're selling, you have to be what people want to buy. So you can't just do whatever you want to do, and that's just how life works.
If I could live in a world of Olivia's and her mindset, I would be in heaven. Because being black and gay has been very difficult, and it's a very difficult situation in itself. Then deciding to be public and put on a wig and try to be funny and ha-has and give my community something to laugh at has been very difficult. So for the past 10 plus years, I've been trying to brand myself to where I'm still happy being who I am, and then the public will receive me well enough to accept me for who I am. And it's been very challenging, I will tell you. Before the Instagrams and before the Twitters came about, it was me trying to decide whether or not I would be remotely comfortable, period. And so now you have the Instagrams, you have the Twitters, you have the YouTubes, and it's like one day I want to post something, but then because I'm living a public life, I have to be like, oh God, if I post this, then they're gonna think this, they're gonna think that, they're gonna think this, they're gonna think that, they're gonna think this. And I'll tell you one thing, if I could go back and change everything up, I would. Because when you are a personality, when you are an artist, when you are an actor, you are the brand, you are the product. And so in reference to the guy that you were speaking about, whoever that may be, in his mind, his brand, I think with your friend, if he's not a friend, I don't know, but I think he's trying to find his footing and trying to claim his own identity within his brand, because that's how he makes his money. Like, he is his own money maker. So at the same time, he still wants to be happy and content with living a natural life for himself, but he wants to be able to be as free as he can as possible. So I get where that mindset could come from that guy, whoever you're speaking of, because I feel the same way too, which is the reason why I have 4 fucking Instagrams. I have a photography Instagram, I have A Connection TV Instagram, I have a personal Instagram, and I have my events page Instagram, because this world that we live in, everybody, not everyone, let me not say everyone, but there are a lot of individuals that just think with a narrow ass fucking mind, and they can't be like Olivia and be like, okay, I'm about to go fuck with you or I'm not. Okay, you posted that today? Oh, that has nothing to do with the 80,000 other posts I saw of you. You're still cool in my book because I fucks with you. The mass majority of the world does not think like that. So unfortunately,
why do we limit the world? I feel like a lot of people are elevated and evolved enough to be able to compartmentalize.
I wish that was the case. I wish that was the case. But because I feel like I could post something that seems profound, and I'm speaking artistically and I'm saying something to motivate, and then only thing that I get in my DMs is, wow, your chest looks nice and da 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 and this, that, and the third. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I get where your friend is coming from. I feel that from a brand perspective, whatever you want your brand to be, make it that. And for me, yes, I've decided for myself not to worry about what the rest of the world thinks and just do me the best way that I can. And A Connection TV has been going on for over a decade, and I'm still kicking, and that's still how I make my money. So something's happening right.
That's right.
So.
Okay. Oh, it's my turn again.
Or I guess we could go to Devin.
Yeah,
I guess,
and
then you can close off how you feel.
I think you can coexist in both spaces. I personally feel like I'm not sorry, it's human nature. Like, I just feel like you should, if for example, someone that her brand was all different types of things, and that's because she went against the norm or the grain of what a pop artist should be. I mean, Madonna, there were so many people around her telling her, you need to look like this, you need to be this, you need to do that. And she was, say what you want about her, about as far as whatever, but at the end of the day, she's a branding and marketing genius. Rihanna is a branding marketing genius.
All day.
They do not stick to one norm or confine themselves to one particular thing. So in reference to your friend, I think it's perfectly fine from him to, yes, as an artist, as a thespian, to be able to perform and to act, but at the same time, if he has a passion and he's trying to find his footing when it comes down to pornography, whatever society's got to say what the fuck they want to say about you anyway. Fuck them. Live in your light, live in your truth. And there's so many people out there that did against what the grain was, did against what the norm was, and he still made it. So there's gonna be a lot of people that, whether they fuck with you or they not fuck with you, you do you live in your light and your truth, and you see where that would take you. So me personally, I'm more leaning to the side of, I don't personally know your friend, but I'm leaning to the side of whatever footing, whatever divine he's going, wherever that light, that direction takes him, that's what's meant to be, and let that be that. But it's nice to see that you're also supporting him at the same time from a friend's perspective. You might not agree with his path, but at the same time, that does not make it necessarily wrong for the path that he's going, because that is him and you are you. True. So let that be that.
And let's be clear, every example that you brought up, and then I was thinking, one thing that will always work for anyone is that if you are authentic and you stay within that authenticity, whether people agree with it or not, people are going to stay on board with you. Because I mean, you even mentioned Madonna. That's right, Madonna went all over the place with her branding.
Yeah, we're talking the 80s here where things were conservative.
All over the place. She went up, down, around. She went to the whole, Buddhist moment, or I don't know if it was Buddhist or very spiritual.
Yeah.
That spiritual moment that she came back and did the sex stuff, and she still had people rocking with her. I mean, if I think about any other artist, you're correct. I can't think of any other artist that went far left, then came far right, and still are popping, still are, newsworthy.
All right. Well, Dr. Tony Mack on Instagram. Shout out to Dr. Tony Mack. He is an uber supporter, hands down, one of the best supporters of AK Nation TV. Appreciate you.
Hey, Tony.
So he wants to talk about the proposed Georgia law that will prevent same-sex couples from adopting.
Yeah.
So, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it. I'm not. I'm sorry. I didn't know. Okay, I didn't know. However, I definitely disagree. I think that it's definitely wrong because, me and my husband want to adopt a child, and I feel like we should have that right to do so. And I don't feel like they should take that right from someone because I feel like we can love a child just as much as anyone else can.
So there's this stigma or this idea that gay families, homosexual families, whatever word you want to attach to families, same gender-loving families, aren't equipped enough to take care of children, to raise kids, to have them be profound individuals in our society, in our community. What do you say to that?
I think that's dumb as hell. Why wouldn't I be just as equipped as the next person to raise a child?
Okay. Miss Olivia?
I would say let's look at our foster care system real quick. Real quick.
The one I work in.
Yes. No shade. If this is how you think, for the foster care system, more often than not, I do not have my exact numbers, but I do know that more often than not, we are dealing with people who are considered heterosexual, correct? Right. So more often than not, the men, women who are foster parents, I've heard more stories from foster children than I'd like to know. I've heard of sexual abuse on multiple occasions. I have one, young lady who I mentor who's not told me that she was in one foster home and it happened. She was in several foster homes and it happened. Where she by both women and men, where she was, victimized. I had one young lady who told me that her foster mother actually kicked her out of the house 3 or 4 times, but was still collecting her check for the foster child. There's just so many things that I hear. So though I don't know my statistics for adoption, I will say if I just use the foster care system alone, and knowing that a great percentage are inside of these children are inside of heterosexual kind of, or census-sized heterosexual environments, and knowing that all of these horrific things, I mean, being abused, being mentally abused, like, get out of here. Like, if a child wants to get some love and there are two loving parents who want to give that child love, why does that matter when you got so many issues on the other side? So obviously it can't be like an intimate relationship as far as like who I lay down with is going to dictate how I, have a relationship with this child. I can't. Actually, I'm done. Go ahead.
All right.
I agree. I think it's really ridiculous the amount of children that are in the foster care system who need homes, that you would make it harder for them to get placed in homes, especially when we talk about African American children.
Above the age of 4.
Yeah, they just stay in the system for the rest of their lives, which they have no normalcy, and it goes down to this whole fear of like homosexual couples making the children homosexual. I don't know about anyone else, but my parents were straight.
My parents were straight.
Mine too. So when you think about it, it's straight people having gay babies. It's not like gay people making gay kids. This is so ridiculous. I think it's just an ignorance and a fear. It's kind of like, oh, well, they have this religious right. So you're telling me that this adoption agency can deny a parent from adopting because they're gay, yet they don't have parents for these children to go to in place of it's just ridiculous.
And they have the scum of the earth who take care of these kids in place of it.
Is it for private agencies or is it for state agencies?
No, the ones that get federal funding.
Oh wow.
That was the issue because it's about the funding. So like now they're allowing them, they're giving them the religious right is what they're calling it. So like they have the religious right to deny anybody. And see, this is where North Carolina messed up. And then, so they thought it was just going to hurt gay people, but then old people were getting denied.
Right.
And they can't file discrimination. Like, once you put that in the law, like Martin Luther King said, if there's injustice anywhere, there's injustice everywhere.
Right.
Because when you think it doesn't affect you, you're fine with it until you find out. It's people out there that be like, oh, well, I can discriminate against you too. I can discriminate against your black ass too. Because religiously, I don't think you should have these kids. So it like spreads and people don't realize it. But I don't know.
All right, sir, how do you feel?
Well, me, I'm actually a social worker, and I'm an adoptions case social worker. So for us, one of the mandates that we put in is that we do have to recruit, homosexual. If a homosexual couple comes to me and say, hey, I want to adopt a child, I give them the information they need to go ahead and start the process to try to do the background checks for adoption and stuff like that. It's been my experience and not because I'm a bisexual man, but a lot of times the homosexual parents that want kids are actually better equipped and able to take care of the children. And you meet them, they actually want
to
the
do
kids.
it.
They're actually not doing it for a check. It's because, hey, I physically am not going to be able to have a child, so I would like to give a child a happy life and do what I can. And when we cut, like you said, so in the state of Georgia alone right now, it's 9,000 foster kids, period. That's what's in the system. In DeKalb County, where we live at right now, it's actually 900 of those foster kids. DeKalb County actually has a much higher number. We also know a different mandate. There's other things that we have to do that other counties don't have to do, but that's besides the point. When you cut all those kids away from a large resource, like you do people like me who's a social worker and trying to find them homes, trying to find them safe places, a disservice. Y'all need to really think about children's health overall and stop going by myths and stereotypes, and stop confusing homosexuality with pedophilia.
Yes.
Because it's two very Very, very, very different things. Homosexuality is not deviant. And it's between, it should be sexually, when some sex should be between consenting adults or whatever is going on. But when you put sexual feelings onto a child, you're absolutely wrong no matter who you are. Children are not equipped mentally, physically, emotionally to be having a sexual relationship with anybody. And a homosexual man is not going after a 5-6-year-old child. That's somebody that's a pedophile. Right. That's somebody that actually has a mental illness is making them go after small children. Like, just educate yourselves and don't say it can't happen to you, because first thing they'll say is, okay, well, we don't want gay couples adopting. Then you have to make this amount of money to adopt. And then you have to be in this much health to adopt. And we don't want Mexicans adopting because, they might be immigrants, and what if they run off and they'll take the kids and stuff like that. Then it comes to black people, well, if they live in this area and they're black, we can't. It happens. It's always somebody else's problem until it's your turn. So I really hope people fight that, because I wasn't even aware about that. And it just shows that I need to be more aware of what's going on in my state when it comes to laws. So.
Sir Devin, how do you feel about the concept or topic of, same gender loving individuals not being able to adopt?
Well, Wesley, this makes me very emotional. I don't live in the state of Georgia, but actually, ironically, I didn't hear anyone else mention that, but I'm the person at this table that was in foster care and that beat the system and the statistics that were put on to me. I'm one of 15% of African American men to graduate from undergrad. I went through every type of placement: hospitalization, suicidal thoughts, residential facilities, foster care, group homes they call it. So I've been through it all. It saddens me to hear that the state of Georgia is proposing that. I'm not sure if that's been proposed in Illinois or not, but I wish Olivia stated something about being over the age of 4. I was in DCFS or DCFS ward. I'm not sure if they call it the same thing in Georgia, but
they switched the words around. It's Department of Family and Children's Services, defects here.
Oh, it's called defects. Okay, yes. Cool. I'm glad to know that. But back in the heyday, it was called, of course, like Mike just said, Department of Children and Family Services, from the age of 3 to 21. Going through everything I went through, I wish there was I don't, coming from that place as a foster child, I don't care who you were. I just wanted someone to rescue me and save me. I'm a lot different now than I was as a kid. I was very quiet. I was very sheltered. What kept me sane and not violent and not not like that was music and Michael, Janet, and Brandy, whoever I listened to in the corner with a Walkman. So that's what got me through, but there's so many. And I've actually reached out to former residential facilities where I stayed most recently, and I had a visit, and just really quickly, sorry, this is really, I had a visit, and I could see me, but the future of me. Like me 20 years younger, not even that, 15 years younger. And it freaked me out because here I am just knowing that right now, like I want to adopt. I don't have a partner, but I know what it feels like to be that child in that situation. And so I know that I would make, just with that alone and just knowing that my income and my class and all of that I have, I know that I can raise a child on my own. That's something I'm looking to do in the next 3 to 5 years as a personal goal. But it definitely, seeing someone that's remotely like you on the other side of the room and not being able to rescue or to save or to do anything outside of coming, once a week or whatever and having those conversations and talks and trying, it's tough. It's tough, and it's just sad that the state of Georgia is in this space right now. Hopefully that changes.
Well, hopefully the governor will veto it. He vetoed something like this before, so it's passed the House, so it'll go to him to sign.
Do you know when it's happening?
I'm not sure when he's supposed to sign, but hopefully he'll veto it again and just be smart.
Okay. Y'all can go to the State of Georgia website and voice y'all opinions too. There are actually links there. You can write letters and complaints. So
And most importantly, vote.
2018
Vote for
is the
these
most
people.
powerful
Yes.
year. Oh my God. If you hey, I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. If you're not that into politics, this is the time you need to be into politics. Because you know why? Because all of these moves are happening without you. And if your vote didn't count, and if you wasn't that important, and your vote wasn't that important, then they wouldn't find all of these fun ways of getting you not to be able to vote. They wouldn't gerrymander. They wouldn't take you off of the voting rolls. They wouldn't take you off of all of these things and prevent you from voting if it wasn't that powerful. 2018 is one of the most powerful years before 2020. Local is more important than presidential. So please get in this. Please get in this.
All right.
Can I just say something to that? So on your ID, right? I was in North Carolina at this conference. So on your ID here in Georgia, there's this little star. But some states haven't done them yet. But in October, in different states, if your ID does not have this gold star, then wherever you go, you are going to have to bring additional identification, because a state ID is not going to be good enough, because the gold star means you have extra identification. So when you go on a flight, you'll have to provide more. When you go to vote, you'll have to provide more, because though it's a state ID, still it's not a verified state ID. And these are laws that the people that are in office have passed, and people don't even know. So just be aware, please.
How do you get a gold star?
You have to go and
You
you have
probably
to
have to
take.
give too much more information,
Yeah.
but the problem is that we shouldn't even have all of that, because if it's state ID, that's just too much. That's too much of the government getting inside of my household, inside my pockets, inside of things that they should not be inside of. Like, for me to be able to exist in this city or this community, all I need is a birth certificate to say that I'm a U.S. citizen. I shouldn't have to give you passports, social security numbers, this, that, and the third. That's just too much. That means that you guys out there are not on your local levels to be able to make actions happen, so that things like this, because now that's the government too much in my pocket. That's very militarized and police state happening, and I don't really like that. I don't like you telling me where, because now the gold star is going to be something kind of like the tattoos they had when, in Germany, where it was you either in or you're out. Like, I thank you for letting me know that, because I didn't know that, but I don't rock with that. That's
all
not
right,
cool.
for Culture Club, get y'all. Yes, indeed. We have some woke folk on the panel, and they are teaching y'all.
The chip is next.
Right.
I mean, the chip is required inside of your passport right now, and more often than not,
Yeah.
About
that
inside
line.
of your skin.
Oh, no. If I gotta get a chip inside my skin, America,
I didn't even know.
America.
She'll become a terrorist.
Yes, everybody checking their ID. Yes, everybody checking
I'm
their
sorry,
ID.
it's like you don't even notice it.
Right, I didn't
You don't even notice it.
So to continue the
Hold up, but then on my Florida ID.
You don't.
You got one?
No, I do.
So,
On my Florida
Oh, you do?
ID.
And didn't even know it.
Bitch.
I know.
Like, and I got this back in 2011. I'm
so
nervous.
to continue, the political reign, I don't even want to look at my ID. I really don't. And it's a fresh ID, so I'm hoping that the damn stars on mine, goddammit.
It better
But
be.
I'm gonna look at my skin regulation.
to continue the political discussion, Wakanda forever. I don't know how to pronounce.
Why you say, oh, who said, oh, Lord? Really, Mikey?
Mikey
Really?
Over the community this week.
Really,
The
Mikey?
stuff that Mikey done had to deal with the last 2 weeks.
I don't give a
As a matter of
damn,
fact, since
Mikey.
January this year.
I don't give a
I was
damn,
Wakanda for a good
Mikey.
week, but now it's time to get back to Gotham.
No. Excuse you, no. Not after we've been living with over 100 years of Birth of a Nation. 1915 is when Birth of a Nation, look it up but don't watch it. That's when that movie came out. And
I'm
that's
not talking about
after
the
that.
movies. I'm talking about the ideology of the movie.
No, but that's my
I'm
point.
like,
But that's
this
my point. The
togetherness thing-
ideology of Birth of a Nation is what created all of the
But
lynchings
fear.
that we done had for 100 years.
That's what I'm
So
fear.
let's get some excitement about the fact that I can feel proud that I'm African. And I don't have to sit there and be like, no, I'm mixed with Native American. I got 2%.
No, I'm not talking about the pride
Cherokee.
thing. I'm talking about the togetherness, this nation building thing. When I'm just
We
not
can
seeing
be
it.
no.
I'm just
okay,
not.
guess what? Don't get defeated just because you had a bad week, brother
It's been a
man.
bad like 2.5,
Black
3
man,
months.
don't get defeated by a week. Are you serious?
It's like 3 months. It's like
Don't
keep
get defeated
trying.
by 3 months. We have a challenge in front of us. We have a what?
So,
Like, come on.
Mr. Iton or Curtis.
Pray for me.
No, that's the wrong one. I don't want to read that one. No, because that's intense.
Sorry, Curtis.
Tennis Lover 08 wants us to discuss the gun laws in America. So my direct question would be, do you think, and I don't know if you know about what just recently happened in Florida. What's going on? Y'all on live? About the school shooting that just recently happened in Florida. I don't know if you know about it or not. But what a lot of the discussions are about now is, should teachers be allowed to bring guns to school? So that is the direct
More
question.
guns in the school, because that's going to be happening.
So that's what I want to ask you. So that's the direct question. Should teachers be allowed to bring guns to school?
Oh gosh, well, I'm not well versed on the gun laws and this whole topic. I did see that there was a huge shooting in Florida a few weeks back or a week ago. I did see that on CNN, which is propaganda. Don't look at the media. It's a program to. That's a different topic. But anyways, no, I feel like when it comes down to that, there should be. If the teachers would like to be safe, there should be something. I don't feel like they should carry a gun in the classroom. No, maybe there's some type of protection or some type of organization that. I mean, I don't know. I don't work in that field of that entity, but maybe if that's becoming an issue where teachers can no longer teach to get the message across to children and their safety is a concern, maybe there's something that could be done to protect the teachers. Or their classmates, but I don't necessarily feel like a gun should be allowed in the classroom.
So, are you still in the profession of teaching, sir? Oh, you are as well?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'm in education. I'm in the classroom, but that's the dumbest thing ever. Why would you put more guns in a school? And then I can just see it happening where a teacher gets mad, or even a kid comes up and gets the gun some kind of way while the teacher's not paying attention, and now they've shot themselves or a classmate. And then also, I can see on another side of town where suddenly a teacher who doesn't necessarily look like me sees a little kid who looks like me. Oh, I'm intimidated, and then they shot me.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yes, I can see that happen.
Exactly
And let's be clear about our gun laws in America. The Second Amendment does not allow you or give you the right to just bear arms. Let's be clear. Read your Constitution, people, because I guarantee you don't know it. It is against a tyrannical government. That is who you can bear arms against. Not just I just have the opportunity to just keep myself strapped. Like, I hate that we are bending the rules or we're making it kind of fit because it's all based on interpretation. Like, the Second Amendment does not give you the right to kind of just, have an AR-15. And let's be very clear. I don't understand why a child can walk in, 18-year-old, you're a child, sorry baby. I don't understand how a child can go in and purchase an AR-15, but they're not allowed to get a drink.
Right.
Right.
Let's talk about that. You can go to Walmart and you can get a gun, but you can't buy a beer. We need to focus on those kind of gun laws. I mean, let's look at Australia altogether. They had one mass shooting. One. Got rid of all the goddamn guns. Ain't had one since.
Shut it down.
All right, Larry.
I agree. I think it's a horrible idea to have teachers. One, you don't pay teachers enough to do another motherfucking thing. Like, I'm sorry, as a teacher, you make about 5,000 decisions a day. So adding the management of a gun in a room with children is
crazy.
It is ridiculous.
Especially in our communities, because 9 times out of 10, we tend to get in communities that look like me. We tend to get a lot of the Teach for America folk,
right?
Who are just 2 seconds out of college themselves, who have not had any kind of discrimination, teaching or anything like that. They came from Vanderbilt, no shade to Vanderbilt, or DePaul University, or all of these very whitewashed white universities, and now they've got to teach a school in Harlem. And
they're
gotta
only
teach
teaching to
these
get their
kids.
student loans forgiven because they don't really care about teaching. So there's no passion there. So therefore, once again, you're reinforcing the status quo because you're putting the least educated people to educate
Our children.
black and brown children and poor rural children, because I'm going to include them too because it's white poor rural children who get poor educations as well. So now they're stuck in this system, and it goes back
And
to
so be cyclical, the prison system.
and that is not okay.
From the books to the prison.
It's like, and with the whole mass shooting, it's just like, why can't we realize that yes, you can bear arms, but like an assault rifle, who needs that? Who needs to be able to shoot 20 people in under a minute? Like, does that not seem crazy to you to just have that
and I'm
under your
tired of the
bed?
mental health issue. I'm tired of the mental health argument that the NRA keeps on trying to push.
Right.
And I'm also
When they're white.
Right. And I'm also very offended. I'm very offended that the president of the NRA said, well, we don't get a whole lot of news media when a black woman is crying over her baby that was killed in Chicago and blah, blah, blah. But we get all of this new media rotation. Like, boo, don't bring me up in here.
Yeah.
Don't bring black faces up into this. Don't use me. Don't use the race card. I'm not here for it.
Yeah, you're not gonna have a lot from us.
Stop. That's your war. We're not in that one.
So I do want to include his thing anyway, just in case y'all are very serious, and I'm loving it. I'm just listening, soaking it all up. So Aiton or Curtis wants to discuss the intersect between Christian and LGBT.
What?
I mean, that's what it says. The intersect between Christian and LGBT.
I think what he's saying is like, so like gay people who are involved
like
in church.
1,000 of y'all?
So here's my direct question.
It's just like, right, that's
That was going to be my direct question. So
pretty consistent.
and not to sound any sort of way, but for me, growing up, church wasn't my go-to for me. I didn't feel like I could go to church to feel comfortable in my skin. And so that's what I grew up believing, that church was not, it just wasn't for me. And then, into my adulthood, I see all of these individuals that have found acceptance and found worth and found belief and all of that in the church. So for you, are you Christian? Mm-hmm. All right, so then you can answer that question.
To me, I would just say find a church who accepts you for you. My church does that, and so I love my church. And I had a similar situation, I guess, growing up. I guess before I came out or whatever, it was fine. But then once it did, then it was kind of like, okay, it's awkward. So the church that I go to now, my pastor is not gay. It's not a gay church, but he likes to consider himself an ally to the community, because he says there are certain things that he understands that as a straight person or a straight man, he has more privileges in certain situations than gay people do. Just like how white people have white privilege, he's like, there's a such thing as a straight man privilege. And so he understands, and he was like, though I can't change that, I can be an ally to you. And so I can appreciate that. And so I'm not judged at my church. And I hope like me and my husband go to church together and everybody cool.
All right.
Y'all get to hold hands in church?
If we want to, we don't.
Do
usually
you?
hold
I don't
hands
think
in church.
Yeah.
I mean, I just see couples holding hands. My brain just something like that.
That's a good question.
That's a question. The reason I asked that is...
Most heterosexual couples hold.
Yeah, but that's what I was
We don't
wondering,
have
like,
a holding church, but if we did, everyone at our church knows that we're gay and we're married. Like, that's not an issue.
Okay.
Like, he's on the praise team, I'm over communications, so it's like.
Oh, okay.
I don't go to church now, but my grandfather was a bishop, and my grandfather-in-law is a pastor here in Georgia. So like my mother-in-law is a preacher or whatever, and I just think you have to go somewhere where people love you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't consider myself a Christian. I'm more spiritual than like a religion. Just because that's just who I've become. I mean, but I think that intersection, you have to find peace. I don't know how to say it. Just say it. Bold and blunt, right? Go where you're welcome.
Right.
Don't try to make people accept you.
Right.
Go somewhere else.
Right.
That's just the bottom line.
And
it's
don't
like,
feel bad about being who you are, because it's a difference between Christian theology and biblical fact. Mm-hmm. So don't feel like you can't be who you are and still go to church.
All right, Devin.
Well, shout out to Pastor Hannah. So I love Pastor Hannah. He's really open and accepting of every individual type of way. His story is he's from Chicago, West Side Chicago, and he's a straight guy. And at the end of the day, his church is welcoming to everybody. So that goes back to what Larry has touched on, and I'm sorry, your name is Trey has touched on as well. Everyone going to where they feel welcome and accepted, and sorry guys, my jacket was falling. Going where
I love it.
Going where you feel accepted and loved, and that's a beautiful thing. And I'm more in tune in spirituality, and that's why I talk about divine timing and light and everything happens for a reason and that whole types of thing. But at the same time, me personally, I do feel that there is a space for me, and I'm very thankful that I have a pastor that accepts everyone and welcomes everyone, and it just feels right. It feels like home. I do understand where Wes is coming from, because I mean, 18 years, we're talking about, I don't know, 1,800 placements. Listen, when I got out of the system, I had like a whole stack of like folders. So I've been to every type of different church, every type of different like religious sector. I had Jewish parents, I had Mexican parents, I had African American parents, I had them all. But I finally feel, growing up, I didn't have that. And so I didn't know until my adulthood, West, that there was a church out there. And so I'm glad to have a church home where I'm feeling accepted.
All right. All right. Tommy_universe wants us to talk about Black China and Safari.
Really?
I mean,
we saw
not really gonna.
Black China dating a little boy, he 18. Her sex tape got leaked.
Can I ask an honest question? Who are those two people?
Oh, child.
All right. Okay.
I really don't know.
And then going on to that. Going on to that.
That was really a valid question. Are they celebrities? Are they musicians? Are they stars?
They want to be celebrities. They D-levels.
Okay.
Yeah. They.
It's complicated.
It's complicated.
Okay.
So we'll
dated
reality
people.
stars.
Yeah.
So we'll move on to that. Name a celebrity you would live with. One celebrity you would live with.
Hey V, hey Bran. Of course I'm gonna live with Brandy. Like that is my sister. Like we were just, okay, Bran, I'm not gonna say what we were texting about, but we were just texting earlier today. We're so connected. I would live with Brandy, yes, go.
Celebrity I would live with? I'm Beyonce. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I'm not like a member of the Beehive, nothing like that. But the bitch she live pretty good. So
Sign that non-disclosure.
I'll be a
Right.
Yeah, I signed it.
Yes, indeed.
Real quick.
Top off is cute only because of Beyonce. I would live with Will Smith. I am an uber fan of him, and you can't take what you already have. And so no, but in a dream world, right? But no, I have always respected Will Smith. I've always thought that he's been fun-loving, open-minded, real down-to-earth, from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air through all his movies, his music, the way he handles his children, the way he handles his public life, the way he handles his marriage, from what we see. I've always given him a lot of respect, but the fact his YouTube channel is a lifesaver to me now. The fact that he's on Instagram, great, but his YouTube channel is so wonderful to watch, and you just feel good watching it. For me, you laugh, you know how he is already, and he just shows you his personality and the life that he lives. He lives a fabulous life too. So I would love that, but he's just a fun, all-around, cool black brother, and that's why I respect him, and I would love to live with him.
Wait, you didn't ask us why we would choose. We just said.
But you told us why.
Okay. More in depth, so I feel like, damn.
Oh, you told us.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. I'm sorry. Larry, I'm sorry. I didn't
No, you did.
what he was saying.
Oh my goodness. Well, since Wes took my person, we can't on three's company, so I'm gonna choose someone else.
Right, he would be in the guest house.
So I would have to say Jay-Z. I think, but besides Will, I think no, but I think besides Will, I think Jay-Z is like a mogul. He's like such a smart person. I mean, when I was talking about him earlier today, like this is a person that doesn't have any degrees, maybe a high school diploma, and is a billionaire, a black billionaire. Like he's taken that little, his hustle is like unmatched.
I will live with not one celebrity on this earth. Not one. I live by myself. I like it that way. I don't want dirty dishes in the sink that I didn't leave there.
Rosario,
I don't want to, bitch. I don't want to see you when I don't.
That's
wanna
from Will and
see
Grace,
you.
not a race show.
I don't want to do. I don't want to live with anybody except for Francois, and he is a celebrity.
Oh, he's so
Check his.
cute. Look at
Yes,
him.
that's right, baby. He's a celebrity all day. He's been on Culture Clubb many a time. So there's that.
I would like to go back to like 1991 and live with Whitney Houston. Just to see like how it is the day in the life of her, because I just feel like it would be a lot to
Oh my
be Whitney
God.
Houston in 91.
Would you be able to do that much coke?
That's what I'm about to say.
And that's another reason why I was like, hey, that's so rude,
You mean the,
y'all.
the,
That's
the, the
not
filming of The
rude.
Bodyguard?
It's
Like
real.
that?
Around that time.
She was
And,
getting- she was getting
yeah,
toe up.
like I would like to go around that time just to deal with all the pressures that she dealt with from, you know, society
And the coke.
and the coke. I would like to just to see, you know, like, I mean, it was a lot on her. Like, I mean, she was
Right.
a
She
mega
had a
celebrity.
boyfriend, a
That was
girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean,
Y'all so rude.
it's facts.
That's who I would like
It's
to know and
facts.
live with.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
But then
Right.
you know,
Right.
She can
R.I.P.
no, she can definitely rest in peace, but
Right.
let's not sit here and try to pretend like
Thank
somebody
you.
is who they are not.
And that's
She is a
another reason why I would like to
fantastic
live with her, because I feel like
entertainer.
they built this image
Come on, it's not
of
like
who
she ain't
had
smoked.
to
She
be.
hoes
so
And I-
authentic and so real.
I don't
Exactly.
think so.
And I love that.
Smoking,
The Diane
ass
Sawyer
crack.
interview.
Like, let's not
That
put that
Diane
out of
Sawyer
there.
interview.
What's the realest
I don't
interview?
smoke crack. Crack is whack. I said cocaine.
I love.
And Bobby was
All
And I
right.
feel like, you know, back in the 90s, they tried to make her something she wasn't. And she
Exactly,
didn't
and that's
do a lot
what
of
the
that.
problem
And so
was.
I would love to go and spend a day with Whitney. Back in-
Would you
I would never want to be
leave
famous because of that.
your husband or wife for $1 million?
All day.
That is. That is. What kind of
This is
question?
from Tommy_Universe.
No, I wouldn't,
That is-
because guess
I
what?
mean-
We can make $1 million.
That is so materialistic.
And I will by
so-
40. So that's just me.
No.
Can't
Because
speak for
it's
anybody
someone
else.
who's not married, and so if I were married in the next couple of days and then someone asked me,
That's what I'm about to say. Right now, hell yeah. Drop your ass
we
real
can get
quick.
married again is my point. Would you leave them? Yes. And then we can get back together after I secured the bag. So baby,
real
stand
quick.
over there for a second.
Don't contest the divorce.
Yes.
Let's get this.
Right.
Let's do this. We here.
Right. And then we can come back together. Ain't nobody said we had to leave forever to see that
So
one
now-
question.
Hey, that wasn't the question.
So to answer the question that was directed towards me from Wes,
Ooh.
the answer is no. I would not do that. You know, $1 million might sound like a lot, but with the taxes
Exactly, let's get
and
it.
everything taken out of there, you stuck with a good $600,000, and I'm sorry, that's not enough to last me a lifetime.
Why you
And
only
if
have $600,000? What kind of taxes you gotta pay?
Hello?
Well, if someone won, in the state of Illinois, if someone won $1 million, they're walking away with $700,000 most.
That's still better than zero.
But I'm just saying. But listen. But this is how I'm thinking about it. Okay, whatever it's
Monique,
700,000 or whether it's $1 million.
Please, no.
That's
Let's not talk
not. If
about
I'm
it.
getting married, I'm getting married
not.
forever
She's
in a
very
lifetime. So I'm not even
She
trying
can't
to.
She could have.
So yeah, I'm sorry. To answer your question, no.
I would go the Olivia route and just say we can get remarried because $1 million is $1 million.
Yes, I need
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
if you willing to give it to me quick and in a hurry versus me working for it in 3, 4, 5 years or whatever
Right.
and
I agree.
acquiring it, I'm with that quick cash.
Amen.
The last topic on this Instagram post is how would you define a casual friend and do you accept them in your life?
A casual friend.
Yeah, how
What
would
do they
you-
mean when they say casual friend? What the hell is that?
That's the question.
What is what?
Hell no.
He's asking you
What
to
is
define.
casual?
Like khakis?
How would you?
Like, what are we wearing?
I think that'd be like
Are you wearing Skechers?
You know what I mean?
Not
Yeah.
Skechers.
So then this is what.
Yeah,
So then
Marshall.
I'll ask everybody behind the camera. How would
Clarity.
you define a casual friend?
platonic. That's platonic, nothing.
But aren't all friends supposed to be platonic?
Right.
I think casual friend, somebody that you kind of kick it with on the side here and there, in that sense.
Like a side piece?
Yeah, like a side piece. Yeah.
What?
But yeah, we're intimate though, and you're my friend.
Right. No, that's different. We kick it like we fucking.
Well, yeah, what are we kicking
I think
with?
like hanging out, like a casual friend, like a friend,
Like not really a friend, but like a
When he's
right
saying
now,
scheduled
associate.
appointment.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, not casual, like we're casual.
He's talking about like a fuck buddy.
Right.
He's talking about a fuck
That's
buddy.
a different situation. Like, I don't-
friend can mean so many different
Right.
things.
Anything not
So
platonic.
Donteva, bruh. I don't know how to pronounce it. Donteva, bruh. Next caller, you're so silly.
Please.
That's. I mean, I don't know. Donteva, bruh. I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't know specifically what you're asking and what you're requiring as far as
You gotta be
a
more
response.
specific and clarify.
Donteva, bruh.
Sorry, Dante, bro.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But casual, I mean, you could put a stamp on anything and say it's casual.
That can go.
So many ways. Can't shit on me. Wanted us to talk about Monique getting at Charlamagne the guy, but you said you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to talk about it.
I'm kind of over Monique, to be honest.
I am kind of too. But I mean, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully, I don't know. I mean, I don't know I don't know.
You can't spaz out on Whoopi on her show.
Yeah,
Like
on
what?
her own show.
She didn't
And it's
spaz
like
out.
you just
She
feel.
didn't
She didn't
I feel like
spaz.
she's
It
just
wasn't
digging
like a
deeper and
tantrum.
deeper.
Let's
Like,
be
just
clear. It wasn't like that.
chill out.
It was just that and actually, I will say, I watched it and I was like, I felt Whoopi had a point, but there was a part of me that was like, Monique, you look good, and you stood. It was a power behind what she was saying, and whether they can agree to disagree, but at the same time, I think both ladies held their own on The View, and I don't think that. I mean, she was very polite and very poised. I don't think Monique was over talking Whoopi. Whoopi didn't agree, and so she did her defers and her interjections and all of that. But at the end of the day, I whether you're a fan of Monique or not, when it comes down to that whole situation, because I know you guys have talked about it, but to say my piece, I think one side played the game. You know the rules. You're in Hollywood. Play the game. On the other side, I feel like Monique has been devalued and defamed and put in the media like she's just crazy angry black woman that it just so happens to have an Oscar. No, Monique has been in the business the last 25 years plus, and she's put in work and the time, and I think for me, being a fan of Monique's work, she's done a lot of things, from hosting to selling out arenas, Queens of Comedy Tour. People would like to forget about that. Just saying. I've been there. I've watched her work over the last 20. So understanding Monique's discovery and what that looks like, and over the last 20 years of work, I know I haven't seen everything, but I've seen enough to say I really do feel like she deserves more than what she was offered for that particular comedy special. But at the same time, I do feel like you are in Hollywood, you are in Allegiance, you know what the rules are, so you might not necessarily agree with everything, but find a way to coexist. And I think Whoopi was trying to give her that platform on The View to find a way to give her
a safe face.
To say, well, yeah, because Whoopi, they love each other. Like they're cool. But at the same time, but to also give her ability to speak her truth and what that is for her, but also telling her, and I'm probably sure she told her behind the scenes, we don't know this, but behind the scenes, look, this is what, Whoopi knows. Whoopi's an Oscar award winner, and Ghost was everything. And I'm sure she's had to play the game to get to where she has to go, because that's part of life.
Monique, girl, you in trouble.
What I will say, short and sweet, is at the end of the day, one of the things that I have been very disappointed as is seeing Charlemagne and Whoopi Goldberg be the two prominent people that I've seen in the interviews or in the media going after Monique. I'm disappointed because they already know the trials and tribulations that Black people have to go through. So I don't understand how they don't get it. I don't get it. That they don't get it. That they don't get what she's trying to do and what kind of, train she's trying to ride on. I had, like I said before, I listened to a lot of Monique interviews, and I listened to several Monique interviews where she said, I didn't expect them to give me the $500,000. I expected the deal to kind of fall through. Let me tell you what happened. Because I want to move the curtain away. I want people to see what is happening. I think people would not be as palatable with the Viola Davis conversation and interview that we heard if it wasn't for Monique to begin that conversation.
But I disagree. Because it's like
I wasn't done though. Oh. Let me finish. So I think that she's opening the door, whichever way she does that, whether that may be something that you agree with or not. It was a distasteful enough, or it was nasty enough that it made attention. Everybody wants to talk about this. She has all these interviews which she's never had before. We didn't see Monique out in there. We didn't hear about Monique too much, even with This Is Christmas. But she had this one thing where she had this charge about let's all drop Netflix. Now all of a sudden, we've continued this conversation for now 3 videos. So we're talking about it clearly. Everybody's talking about it. Charlemagne's talking about it. The View's talking about it. We're having a conversation now. It created such a perfect storm for Viola Davis to have an interview where she basically said the same shit like Monique said, but she said it more eloquently. There's too many times, last but not least, there's too many times that we have decided to beg for, hey, give me what I'm worth. Let's not forget, one of our great leaders, Dr. Martin Luther King, was very much unliked by even his own people during that time. He rose to fame after he had died. But most people was like, shut up, play the game, Dr. King, play the game and let us we don't want to be hosed and beaten down. But now look at where we stand because of his efforts. Gonna end there.
Okay, so that's
I'm not comparing,
you can't,
I'm just
because hold up, pause. I'm not
happen.
finished. You said you were finished.
He asked me a question. Trey, did you not ask me a question?
Well, I blame Trey.
I'm sorry.
Blame Trey.
But what I'm saying is Martin Luther King had conversations with the president. It's the way you go about things. And Monique, I feel like the way she's gone about this has been totally wrong and totally messy, because you've taken a private conversation and gone public to try to you're trying to bully somebody into doing what you want. I'm gonna expose you if you don't do what I want to do. It's pretty much the same thing. The same way you dog out Oprah, the way you dog out Tyler Perry, the way you dog out Lee Daniels. Those are all Black people. Pause. I'm not finished. But wait. I'll let you finish. So please let me. My whole thing is like, you can't stand up and try to be a martyr. But it's basic. You're about self. And that's what it looks like to me. You're not about the bigger picture.
Then
you're
you didn't
about
listen
self.
to all her interviews.
I don't have
so
to
you
listen.
have enough data.
So
you don't have enough data to make your
I
argument.
heard her actions.
You don't have enough data to make
sweetie,
your
if
argument.
you could let me talk, you could hear what I have to say.
I can hear what you're saying, but you don't have enough data to make your argument.
It's like, I get it in the whole I get it that Black women have been underpaid and all of those different things. But the thing is this. You have a choice. Go where you're wanted. If Netflix won't give you the money you want, don't do a comedy special with them.
So she shouldn't say anything at all.
So here's
like, I can't go into a job and say,
anything.
unless you pay me, I'm gonna go on the news and say, y'all racist because y'all ain't pay me $200,000 that I want.
So she shouldn't open up doors for people like Tiffany Haddish.
Tiffany Haddish opened her own doors. What did you talk about?
No, let's be very clear that she is actually a legend, and she actually has.
I didn't say she isn't a legend, but talking about
opened up doors.
But this is not opening any doors.
Yes, it is. It started the conversation. It started the conversation. Viola Davis wouldn't have had her interview, and it wouldn't have went the same way.
Are you gonna listen to this? Are you gonna listen to this?